Okay, welcome then to this session on mastering APA PsycInfo in the new EBSCO interface. So just to formally introduce myself, I'm Richard Crooks. I work for the EBSCO Customer Training Services team. I'm based in the UK, so I'm a senior customer training specialist supporting EBSCO customers in the UK, Ireland, and the Nordics. And I've been doing this now for about 14 years plus. Previously worked for the NHS in England, for a variety of library services in different roles for about 12 years before joining EBSCO. So glad you could be in this session today. And in terms of what we plan to cover, we'll look at the navigation of the new interface. Some of you have already transitioned to the new EBSCO interface, which was launched last August. We'll have a live demonstration, which will cover the basic searching aspect, the advanced search primarily, use, incorporation of the APA Thesaurus terms, the application of filters and limiters to focus your search results, and also the available tools to process your search. So to save the search, save records, download them, etc., and export them as needed. And then if there's any more time available during the course of this webinar toward the end, we'll have time for questions as well. But again, feel free to post in the Teams chat and I'll respond as soon as I can during the course of the session, otherwise towards the conclusion. So in terms of the actual objectives, I hope that by the end of the session, you're able to use the natural language search mode to find relevant records in answer to research questions. You'll also be able to create and run a PEO framework search on APA PsycInfo, so I'll say more about that as we continue. You'll also be able to use the APA Thesaurus index to identify relevant subject terms from that controlled vocabulary. And also you'll be able to apply filters to refine search results effectively. And finally, you'll be able to utilize the various EBSCO tools. So the tools like citing, sharing, etc., exporting within the interface to manage and organize your search. So I hope that's what you're expecting from the session today. For some, this may be a refresher. For some, you may be completely new to this database and indeed the EBSCO interface. But I'm sure and hopefully you'll learn something new during the course of this webinar. So before we get into the actual searching element and saving and so on, we'll look at a brief overview of this important database. So to again remind everyone that this is the world's largest resource devoted to peer-reviewed literature in the behavioral sciences and also in the field of mental health, produced, as you can expect, by the American Psychological Association. So of course, it's an indispensable tool for scholarly research in these areas. So it is updated twice weekly, so a very current database indexing obviously the primary literature. You'll have millions of cited references available and millions of records, of course, spanning 600 years of content. And importantly, you have almost 2,500 indexed and abstracted peer-reviewed journals available, accessible through this interface, through this database on this interface. And that includes content from journal articles, book chapters, and dissertations as well. So features include coverage dating back to the 17th to 18th centuries, extensive coverage from the 19th century. You have authored and edited books and book chapters available through this database, and also dissertations that are selected from Dissertations Abstracts International. And in total, publications from more than 50 countries, with journals published in 30 languages. So it's truly an international scholarly database. Now, before we get into the more complex searching and using a framework, I want to just introduce the natural language search mode. Some of you may have used this previously on other databases like CINAHL or Medline, or APA PsycArticles, for example, APA PsycBooks. But this particular search mode is AI powered, and by that we mean when you enter your search using everyday language, so it should be in the form of a question or a statement, it's prompting a large language model to generate a query based on Boolean logic to refine and then obviously generate relevant results in response to the question that you ask, okay, or the statement that you make within the search box. So essentially it allows the researchers to use everyday terminology in question or statement form. This is therefore streamlining information retrieval. It makes it easier and more efficient to find information, especially evidence, and enables or reflects the common experiences with tools like Siri, Gemini, or Google, and Alexa, and others out there. So it is very intuitive. So what I want to do now is go to the live demonstration. So let me now move on to that. So by the way, it is typically defaulted to off, but you'll need to toggle that on in order to make sure you use it, and we'll see how that works in a moment. So we're just going to go now to the live demo for this. And I will take you initially to the advanced search page, because this is often the entry point for most accounts, not all. So we've got the advanced search page here. And natural language search is available here as well, by the way. It is designated as a search mode. So alternative way of searching. You see proximity is the default search mode for APA PsycInfo on this account, in this demo account. And we do have the EBSCO Connect link there to give you more information on each of these features, including natural language search, as you see there. So it can be used from the advanced search page, but you can also use it from the basic search, and this is probably a better way of illustrating it. And you can see the natural language search option can be switched on here. Once you switch it on here, it will also be enabled in advanced search as well. So you can switch between the two landing pages. So, but I'm just going to enter it here. So we're going to put a question up here and just run that and see how we got on here. So just going to use the example that was shown on screen there. So I'm going to put it this way. Is exercise a suitable alternative to antidepressants for treating middle-aged patients with depression? Okay, so it's the form of a question. We do have another feature for this as well, which I'll mention. I'm not sure if that's enabled for this demonstration site at the moment. In fact, it is. So essentially then, there are a couple of things to point out here. First of all, obviously, I've switched on natural language search. I've entered my query. It's a form of a question. So it's a bit like a research question. There's a couple of links here. So how does it work? So this just introduces the user to what this is doing. So it's powered by AI, of course, as it says, which is basically a large language model being prompted. And there's some examples of the kind of questions that students, for example, could ask, others could ask. Okay, so they're fairly generic. But importantly, there's also this refined query as well here. So this details the actual building query that has been created in response to your question. So you can see the terms, the synonyms, exercise, physical activity, workout, fitness, antidepressants or antidepressant medication, psychiatric medication, alternatives, etc., and then the age group, middle-aged, etc., either without the hyphen, and depression or depressive disorder, etc. So it's generated this query quite explicitly. You can see how it's searching using obviously Boolean operators and or where appropriate, and it's generated the results below. Okay, so we've just got 6 at this time. Now, what it's also doing is with recommended search queries, this is a new feature that's been added to supplement or complement this feature, is that it's also generating 3 other questions that may be more appropriate. So it's suggested now you could ask this question. So for example, can exercise be an effective substitute for antidepressants in middle-aged adults with depression? So now we've got middle-aged adults with depression there, of course. How does physical activity compare to medication in treating depression among middle-aged individuals? So slightly broader, if you like. And are there any studies showing exercise as a viable alternative? So if we go for this one, for example, then we'll see if that will run and rerun and bring up other results. So this does. It may be the same results, but you can see here these 6 results are displayed. So it's a very quick way, intuitive way to get to the evidence fast, and very specific because it's in response to a particular question that you're asking, or it could be a statement. Okay, so again, that's an option that's available. Again, I'd hasten to add, if you go to the advanced search page, it's also available here under here as well. Okay, so you could, if this is a default landing page for users, then they can also enter the question here with natural language search as the search mode switched on. Okay, so I just wanted to mention that to you. Okay, so this is also recorded, by the way. In recent activity, you'll see this detailed here. So you can see I've got the 2 questions that I've asked detailed there as well. Obviously, with only 6 references, I probably would not refine them. Easy to scan through those, but obviously with a large number of results, you may want to filter, and we'll talk about filtering in a moment. I will just go back to my PowerPoint. So I'm just going to delete these 2 sets, by the way, and begin to talk about the actual research question that we're going to explore during the course of this webinar. Okay, so we just had a brief demo of natural language search, but this is the research question we're going to focus on for the duration of this session, and that is, does social media use lead to eating disorders in young people? So we're using the framework PEO, which I'll say more about in a moment. But we've got already 3 key elements identified from this search question: social media, of course, eating disorders, and in age group young people. So that lends itself to us creating this table here for creating our framework for searching. So this will assist us in creating the search strategy to run on APA PsycInfo on EBSCOhost. So we've got the population group already, they're young people. We've got the social media, they're exposed to social media, as we know. And then the outcome is eating disorders. So the first row is just identifying the key elements, which I've done previously in the other slide. But then we've got to consider synonyms, like, for example, young people could be young, could be youth, could be teenagers, adolescents, and so on. Likewise, with social media, it can be rendered social networking. There could be particular apps like Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and so on. And then there's also the outcome, eating disorders, which is quite general, but it could be very specific, like anorexia, bulimia, binge eating, body image, and so on. So the second row are really the free text keyword search terms that we would use. These could relate to author supply keywords. These could be terms used by the researchers or the writers of the articles, papers, and so on. So we're kind of second guessing what they would typically use in referring to the population group or the exposure or the outcome. Third row, as you might guess, are the APA Thesaurus terms. Now, we're not necessarily going to know what they are up front at the beginning, because we won't, unless we're indexers ourselves, we're probably not that familiar with some of these terms. Or if we've been using APA PsycInfo for a number of years, then we may be very familiar with some of the indexing terms. But we've got adolescent attitudes, adolescent behavior, adolescent development, youth mental health. These are all relevant to the population group. We've got exposure, social media, of course, is important. Could also be digital media, slightly broader perhaps, or digital marketing, and even cyberbullying that relates to obviously social media. And then with the outcome, again, we've got the general eating disorders, eating behavior, but then we've got the specific conditions like bulimia, binge eating disorder, binge eating, binge drinking, and so on. So really, this is where we're kind of considering what terms, what free text terms should we enter into APA PsycInfo to find relevant information, results, and likewise to combine that with the APA Thesaurus terms. So we'll look at that in both instances live in a moment. Now, the APA Thesaurus is updated periodically. The last update was in winter in 2025. And you can see here, we've got some samples of new terms that are added. So obviously with developments in society, changes in behavioral science and mental health, new terms come to light, new terms are coined, as it were. So you've got brain health there, you've got emotional dysregulation, you've got positive psychology interventions, social engagement, to name a few. So this document, which you can access on the APA website as a PDF, does give you the updated terms and more details about what's included and possibly what's been removed as well. So what's been superseded. There are obviously terms and indexes that are no longer appropriate. They may not be politically correct. They're just not acceptable now, so they've been superseded by other terms as well. So just to outline then, to conduct a search combining keywords and APA Thesaurus terms, this is just the subject headings, but we'll look at the searching in a moment, for the keyword searching live. But if you're going to incorporate the APA Thesaurus terms, you can browse the index via the subjects tab on the advanced search page and also on the navigation panel, as we'll see. And then you can enter the term to browse the thesaurus. So if you're looking for eating disorders and want to know what subject terms that relate to this condition, then you would enter eating disorders and then you would browse the thesaurus and you'll see it'll be mapped to the term eating disorders, unsurprisingly perhaps. So once you've selected that, you can add to the search and that will then retrieve any item, whether it's a dissertation, book chapter, article, indexed in APA PsycInfo with the term eating disorders. Now I've got the explode column selected there on the screenshot. That also includes narrow terms as well. So there could be narrow terms that would also be assigned to articles, which mean that you're also going to retrieve those as well. So there are also filters available for APA PsycInfo, and these will be shown on the filters panel when that's opened up, as we'll see. So you have subject major heading, again that relates to the APA Thesaurus term, but major heading indicates it's the primary focus of the article. So if you're looking for articles about bipolar disorder specifically, although other APA Thesaurus terms would be assigned, if you select that within the subject major heading filter, that means you would retrieve articles that are primarily focused on bipolar disorder. We also have the APA classification codes as well available, the categories. So this is the internal APA PsycInfo categories codes that describe the content. There's also opportunity to filter by methodology. So if you're looking for clinical case studies or systematic reviews or meta-analysis, you can use that filter accordingly. There are also tests and measures. So these are published and unpublished tests and measures that I mentioned in the source document, etc. And in terms of age groups or gender, for example, we have the population filter. So this is a standardized description of specific populations related to the content of the document. So again, if you may want to filter to focus on a particular age group or gender, as we'll do in this session. And then there is a link there to what is the methodology limiter in the APA PsycInfo database that gives you more detailed information about that particular filter. Now, before we get into the live search, I wanted to also give you the heads up or introduction to some of the syntax used for EBSCOhost. Some of you, again, may be using this in CINAHL Medline and other related databases. So for truncation, we have the asterisk, so you can truncate terms. So for example, for anorexic and anorexia, if you place the asterisk or star after the X, it will find both variations. You can also use the asterisk between terms to find multiple sets of expression or multiple sets of terms. So if you look at cognitive behavioral therapy and cognitive therapy at the same time, then if you add the asterisk after cognitive and before therapy, you'd find cognitive therapy and cognitive behavioral therapy. If you are intent on doing phrase searching, then we recommend using the double quotation marks. They will perform an exact phrase search. For example, bipolar disorder enclosed in quotation marks will find at least one occurrence of the exact phrase. Now, you will notice in records and citations, often both terms are highlighted or in bold separately. That doesn't mean that it hasn't found an exact match, but it does mean that each of the terms it used will be highlighted, but it will find at least one occurrence of the exact phrase bipolar disorder. Wildcard, there's the single character replacement, which is represented by the question mark. So if you're looking for two terms, singular and plural, for example, like psychosis or psychoses, then you can replace the I and the E with the question mark and it'll find both variations. So these are just designed to enhance your search. You're not having to enter multiple terms because you can use these characters to replace other individual characters, and that will then in turn bring back both variations. And then there's alternate spelling. For US UK spelling, we use the hash wildcard. So for pediatrics, if you put the hash sign after P before E, it will find US spelling as well as UK spelling. And likewise with behavior, again, you think of behavioral therapy, then IO hash R will find IOUR as well. So there's more information in EBSCO Connect, and I've put a link there to searching with wildcards, which should assist you in coming to terms with how these are used. And then finally, we have proximity searching as well, again, to expand and enhance your search using precision or proximity operators. We have near and within. So near finds the terms regardless of the order in which they appear within a specified word range. So using the example, eating disorders, eating and two disorders would find eating near 2 words or less of disorders. So the number is literal. And then and also disorders within 2 words less of eating. So it could be eating disorders or disorders of eating. Now within is more restrictive because it finds the terms in the order in which you entered them. So using the same example, if you put eating W2 disorders, you'd find the word eating, free text term eating, within 2 words less of the term disorders, but not vice versa, not the other order. And then multiple terms can be used on either side of these operators. So if you're looking for antidepressant medication or drugs, you could put antidepressant N2 near 2 words less of medication or drugs. And you see those terms in parentheses there. Okay, so you find multiple terms in that way. So again, it's designed to enhance your experience of searching to ensure that you can find what's out there without having to enter multiple different terms, as it were. So just to give you an illustration of that. So we will run the PEO Search Demo now. We'll use the example that we have in the PowerPoint. So we'll go back to my desktop. So let me share my screen now, and you'll see again the landing page, which is the advanced search page. So the first thing we're going to look at is the actual age group. So we know this age group has eating disorders. There's 2 aspects to the population group: the adolescents or the exposed. Yeah, so they have, the eating disorders will come later. But basically, we have an adolescent page group. So we're going to type in adolescents here, and we're also going to truncate here. So what we're going to do here is truncate that to find variations of adolescent and adolescents. I'm also going to include teen here and teenage and teenagers. So I can truncate that word, that term again, use the asterisk. So that'll be teen, teens, teenager, teenage, etc. Then I'm going to add in quotation marks young people. Okay. Okay. And then also I'm going to add youth or young. I could be young as a single word, and also or young persons. Okay. So again, I'm factoring these things, these terms. And by the way, if you spot an error, please let me know. However, I will show you how you can edit a search string as well, because you can make corrections. If you've made a mistake, you can also delete lines of the query too. So in this instance, I'm going to search within the title abstract fields. So you can see here, we've got the list of field codes here. Notice within APA PsycInfo, the exact subject headings are represented by DE, which is descriptor, in contrast to mesh, which is MA within APA PsycInfo, but typically MH within Medline, for example. So, but we are going for the title abstract field code search, which is registered by XB. So you can enter your terms, your keyword search terms, or free text terms, and then search simultaneously within the title or abstract field. So whether these terms appear in the title or abstract, results will be retrieved. In some cases, of course, they may appear in both fields. Now, if you prefer, you can prefix this search with XB, like so, and run the command line query. So it depends on your level of experience, etc. But we'll run this for now. In a moment, what you should see is that these terms appear in the search history. Now, by default, the search history is collapsed. You can see the search rows are still here, but the search history is hidden. So we just click on the arrow, and then we can visibly see the search string S1. This is the first set with the field code, truncation, etc. We have the search options displayed. However, when you're using the field code searching, these are typically overruled. So if you did an unqualified search, which means you're searching across all fields, then these would impact your search. Proximity meaning that the terms are near each other in a specified word range. Apply equivalent subjects is simply a concept mapping system, which means that your free text terms are mapped to an equivalent subject heading. Okay, but again, this doesn't really apply in this instance because we are using the field codes to search. We have the hit count, the results shown, and then the database we're actually searching as well. And the tools menu is the three dots, and you can see here, edit search details. We may use that in a bit, but you can edit search. In fact, let me just show that now. When you click edit search details, it brings up the search, click edit search, and it takes you back to this search string. So at this time, I can add something else. For example, I can put young person instead of young persons. So I can update here, click continue, then close this window, and it will refresh. So I may have changed slightly there. I don't remember the exact figure. Now that's the first part of PEO. It's the population element, but we want to factor in also the equivalent index search as well. So if we go to new search here, and go to subjects, which is on the PowerPoint. So click on subjects, and now we can search for teenage, for example. So we're going to search for teenage, and you see it brings up multiple terms here, etc. Now we could try and change this again. We could look for example. We can do adolescence if we want to. Let's see, try this one as well. Adolescence. So again, we're trying to look at different aspects here. So adolescent attitudes there, and so on. So we've got different elements that we could explore further. So we want to look at maybe this one. So not this one, sorry. Let's go back here, and I'll do adolescent. And so we go. So if I can bring this up this time. So adolescent. So there's a number of things here listed here, of course. So again, we may want to explore the thesaurus for what is really the preferred term. So if I try teenage again, or teenager, and relevance here, then you'll see we've got youth mental health there as well. So we've got a number of different elements here that we can factor in here, including attitude. So we can go for any one of these. So for example, if we wanted to go for, let's see, we just scroll down here. Let's go for adolescent psychology here for now. And you can see here, we've got adolescent psychology. If I select this term, it will not include the other terms here, only include these ones. But we've also got adolescent behavior, characteristics, psychopathology, child and so on. So we've got some more terms that we can include, and we can factor those into this search if we wish. Okay, so again, this may be where we're, it's a trial and error in terms of what we find initially, but we can include these terms to begin with. You'll see DE, of course, is the descriptor. So these are the subject terms within the thesaurus, and click search here. Okay, so there may be more that we can explore later, which we can try and do that. But what we'll do here, we're going to combine these two sets initially, and then combine with OR. So the Boolean OR, and run the search here. So essentially, we're going to combine the two search strings into one set. Now, there is a known issue at the moment which has been investigated where the subject string, the APA Thesaurus terms, are duplicated. So I'm going to just delete one of these, which will be this set. So you can delete a line of search. Click delete here. And once you do that, it will resort and show you the original, as you would expect, the three sets here. Also note that the search history is displayed in reverse chronological order. So we've got S through S3 to 1. You can resort, click ID, and you can see the sequence. Okay, so that's the first element of PEO, or PEO as it were. So what I'm going to do now is then look at the next element, which is the exposure to social media. So I'm going to add social media as a phrase. Okay, I'm also going to combine that with social networking, or social networks, so I can truncate that. I can also add others here, for example, let's see, digital media also, and also we'll add cyberbullying. Now that could be one word, cyberbully, and I'll also truncate that, so that could be cyberbully or cyberbullying, or it could be two words, in which case I'll put in the quotation marks as well. So again, I can truncate and put that in there. And then then I can add the applications as well. So Instagram, of course, and then TikTok, of course, very popular. And then also, what else we've got? We've got Snapchat. I don't know how many use that now. Facebook is probably unlikely to be so popular with younger people these days. And then I think it's Grok, right? The controversial one as well. So we can add all those because obviously they're apps that are the social media apps basically, and there may be more out there, and certainly there are that you could factor in as well if you're trying to broaden the search. And then again, we'll factor in the XP search. So this element here, these terms relate to the exposure of social media. Did we have? Yeah, we got digital media there. So we click search here and run the search. And again, the search set will appear below in the search box. Okay, so now it's S4. So then we want to look at the equivalent subject search again, click new search, or you could go to subjects authority as well, by the way. I'm just going to click new search for now, go back to subjects, and I'll make sure I can then enter in social media. So I'm going to browse the thesaurus, the APA Thesaurus terms, to see what we've got. Click search here, and you'll see we've got social media. Now we've got others here like communication media as well, maybe less relevant, but we can select the drop down and it will give you the scope note for this term. But if I click on the term itself, again, that's appeared there, and you'll see that this index term, this APA Thesaurus term, was introduced in 2012. So not too long ago, but obviously social media was becoming much more prominent at that time. You can also select the main term, and this time, as I select, as was shown in the PowerPoint, the explode option is selected automatically. That can be disabled, by the way. It doesn't have to be automatic. I've got it automatic in this demo account. And I can then add broader terms like digital media. I've got online social networks and social media influencers have been included because I'm selecting social media there. And then I can also factor in other related terms like cyberbullying, cybersecurity there, digital marketing, internet to be more general, metaverse, online addiction measures perhaps. Again, these are all other terms, social media use, social networks, and websites. So some of these are very general, like websites, internet, others are more specific. So once I've got those, I can then add to the search, and you'll see again, it's added the index terms to the search box above, and I can run the search on here. So now I'm retrieving records that have been indexed or assigned those subject headings within APA PsycInfo. So once I've done that, I can combine S5, S4 together again, use the Boolean OR, combine with OR. The search strings are combined above, and then click search. So everyone's with me at the moment. Some of you may even be following online as I'm doing this. If not, it's not a problem, of course. But I'm going to, once again, delete the extra search string. So hopefully there'll be a fix to that very soon. But again, it's fairly easy, straightforward to delete search strings as needed. And again, if you wanted to edit these search strings, you can just go in and click edit for any of these elements. Okay, so we've got that. We've done that now. So we've got the two elements of the three. We've got the population group, adolescents. We've got the exposure to social media. And then finally, as we know, we're looking at the outcome, which is eating disorders. So if I click up to the top here, and this time I'll look at eating disorder, again, following the example that we saw. So, and I'm going to truncate that too, because that could be eating disorders or disordered eating, for example. Also anorexia, again, I can truncate this to find anorexia and anorexic. Combine also with bulimia and do the same. So truncate bulimia for bulimia and bulimic. And I can also add binge as well. So it could be binging or binge, and also purge. Again, I could use other terms most likely if I'm doing future iterations of this search, running this again. Once I've found a few articles, then I may make changes to this. And then I can add, again, select rather the title search fields to search these terms within these two fields in either field. So simultaneously, and then click search here. Okay. So we've got the search string there. So it's S7. And then finally, in this last set of PEO, the outcome, we're going to look at the equivalent subject heading here, which you can probably guess what that will be. If we go to subjects here, again, enter eating disorders. Okay. And then you can see, as we saw in the PowerPoint earlier, it's there. If you select this term or click on it, you'll see it's used for appetite disorders. And again, compared to social media, it's a much older term introduced in the mid-90s, essentially, which is not surprising. And then main term, exploded. And when you explode, it includes anorexia nervosa, binge eating, bulimia, feeding disorders, etc. And there's others here. For example, you've got, let's see now, we've got binge eating as a separate heading there as well. Eating behavior, possibly, or food addiction, maybe. Let's see. Yeah, so maybe we'll leave it as those. Emotional eating, possibly. And again, you may want to consult the request of the search for more information. You may have some knowledge, background to behavioral science, mental health topics like this. But again, so you may come up with other terms as well. But we're satisfied with, we've got all those selected now. The main term with the explode option on, which includes the narrow terms, and we've also selected related terms as well. So we can now click add to search and then run the search based on those terms, retrieve records that have been indexed with those terms. And then finally, as you might guess, we'll combine S7, S8 into one set. So the title object search with the subject search, and then they will be displayed in the search history. So again, I'm just going to delete the duplicate search string here. Okay, so we've completed the PEO search. Now what I'm going to do is resort them. So click ID above the set number, and you can see the two sets there, S1, S2 combined in S3. That relates to the population element, the adolescents, the teenagers, etc. The exposure, S4, S5 is social media and related terms. That's combined with S6, so I can just select both these sets. And then finally, the outcome, of course, relates to eating disorders and related terms for the title object search combined with the subject search, and that's S9. So those are the three elements of PEO. We'll then use the ability and combine them, and we'll run the search here. Okay, so if we scroll down below, you'll see we've got a set number. We've got 482 records from this search with those three sets combined. They're displayed below, but we may want to go a bit further. We may want to consider language, we want to consider publication, etc. So again, we may want to look at that and decide how we're going to do this. Okay, so you can now see that, and we have various filters across the top of the screen that you can apply. For example, we've got linked full text. This is because APA PsycInfo is an abstract and index only database. It doesn't have a quantitative full text of its own. So linked full text means you are going to link out to articles that are available through your own journal subscriptions, through other EBSCO's databases, for example, like Psychology Behavioral Sciences Collection. Because they have EBSCO's full text content and we have smart linking in place, those links are transferable to other EBSCO's databases. So if the article that's in APA PsycInfo, which you see currently is not full text, but is also available in PBSC, and that's an EBSCO's full text database, then the links will be transferred. You'll see some here, for example, this one has the PDF online full text there, so we may just look at this one. So again, we can go to any one of these articles and explore that further. So if we just take this article for now, it's published a few years ago, but it looks quite relevant. So you can see the relationship between social media use and disordered eating and in young adolescents. So you can explore the abstract by clicking show more, look at other terms. You can see all the terms we've entered are highlighted. Likewise, the APA terms that we've selected are also highlighted in the subject fields, and you can expand that too. If you want to get more detail, just click through to the article title. You can see the journal, International Journal of Eating Disorders. So it's also indexed in APA PsycInfo. We have the author fields there. You can view more of them. And you have the source again linked, and then the bibliographic information, and also the equivalent mesh headings there as well. And you can see the age group also included as well. Now, I did mention age group earlier. I'm just going to come out of this. So you can use the filters. So you've got other filters here, for example, all dates. So for example, if we look at the past 10 years, then we can filter accordingly. Okay, 337 now. The source type, you can see we've got academic journals. There's some dissertations included, as well as book chapters as well. So we can filter from any of these if we needed. But if you go to all filters, this is what I showed in the PowerPoint, you have the filters that are currently recorded, and then you have other options to filter, including peer-reviewed, the language there. Subject major heading, I mentioned this earlier. This is the APA Thesaurus. And then subject are the author supply keywords, by the way. Publisher also there, language again, you can choose other languages. And with online full text, by the way, you can translate the article into another language. So for example, you can translate an English article into Swedish, Norwegian, if you need to, if preferred, or vice versa. And then you have the classification codes given here. I mentioned this earlier. And also, so I mentioned age groups. So if you wanted to refine specifically to the age group assigned, then we are looking at adolescents, by the way, so you can select this option here. And also, if you were going to go to population group, you can also choose gender here as well. So again, depending on how much further you want to narrow it down. So we've got the publication date, so it's the last 10 years. If we choose this adolescents and then we click apply, it's going to filter so that we are focused on that particular age group within APA PsycInfo. And again, the article will now come to the top, and you can see other references here as well. So not all of these are full text. We've not filtered by full text. We may be satisfied just having the abstract initially. If we just take this article again, I've clicked on it before, you'll see there are access options. It's available in both PDF format and online full text. So with the new interface, we do support text-to-speech software. So we have the option, the icon, the headset there. So you can listen to this being read online, or you can download the MP3 to listen to it offline later. We also have the bookmark tool, so you can save this item, and I'll show more about saving in a moment. We have the citation tool, so you can generate or copy the citation in APA 7th edition. If that is your preferred format, you can select others as well. And it can be configured behind the scenes in our admin tool as to your preferred citation format. But once you've selected it, you can copy that to the clipboard, and also you can export the citation as a RIS file for RefWorks, EndNote, and so on. We also have the share option. So if you prefer to share this via Google Drive or OneDrive, or simply create a link to this document, then you can copy that to the clipboard and post accordingly. And also you can share via email. Now, if PDF online full text is available, they will be included as an attached file. Okay, so you can send this to your inbox and get confirmation on screen that's been sent. You can also download the record as well. So this allows you to download not only the full text document in PDF or online full text in this example, but also the metadata in the choice of PDF by default, Word, CSV, BibTeX, and so on. And you can also print as well. So again, if you prefer to read a hard copy of this document, maybe if you're like me, you like to highlight words and underline them, then you can print from here. We also support ongoing accessibility efforts. So again, much of the interface has been redesigned with a view for accessibility requirements, guidelines, and there is this accessibility support icon, which allows users with disabilities to request alternative formats. So you can see this article is also available in Word for those who need it. So typically it will take about 3 to 5 days to receive that. Okay, so you can request an alternative format to those that are presented via this form. If we go back and just look at the online full text just briefly, just to highlight the text-to-speech functionality. So if you go to, that as well, but also translation options. So if you check online full text, select that one, you'll see this is the article online. You can see here from this one, you can also get the citation format there as well. You can share it, you can download it as well. Again, you can switch to PDF if you prefer. You can print if you needed, but you've also got the translation icon here as well. So I can translate now this language, this English language article into another language. So for example, if I want to go to, I assume it's Norwegian, but I'll click on that one, then it will translate accordingly. So this translation, by the way, is a machine translation, and it is provided by Microsoft, and you'll see that annotated in a moment. So you can see that now. Okay. So again, if you're a native speaker of that language, you'll see, you can vindicate the authenticity or accuracy of it or otherwise. So that is the translation. Again, the text-to-speech software is also available, but that's available only in English, by the way. So I have to switch back to English. So you can do so here, and then you can listen to this being read online. You can download the MP3 again, but you also have the option to choose the word color as well, if preferred for that. Okay, so I'll just play it now. So those tools are available. Now, in terms of actual references, we might want to obviously save those rather than look at each record in turn. And I just mentioned one more thing here as well. There's citation count here as well. So you can see here, this article is cited by 231 other articles. So it's clearly of significance in relation to this topic. This one's only been cited by three times, and others may be less than that or varied. This is only one, this is 3. So clearly this is a very important article in relation to this subject. So if I click the cited by count here, you'll see those references displayed. Okay, and you can sort them also by the most recent as well. Okay, not just the citation count, and also just find out which ones are available full text and which are not, of course. So if you want to view the full text article, you can. You can also bookmark these. You can save these as well. And you can also check which ones, if I could come off that, which ones are also available in this database. So these articles are also available within APA PsycInfo, so I can save those as well. Okay. So if you're looking to save a list of results or individual records, you can click on the Tools menu, and also you can cite, add to a project. I'll talk about projects in a moment, share and download each individual record as you can. If you click through to the actual detailed record, you can do the same. You've got the tools here. This one has to be open access, by the way. And on this record, you can also see the references. So it does list references for this article available here. You can also see which ones are in this database. Also filter those that are full text only. So this one's a PDF, and also sort them as well. Okay, so again, you can check those out in your own time. So in terms of selecting, you can select, of course, individual records, or you can select up to 50 per page. Now that's going to change to 500 in due course in the coming months. So there will be an increase of being able to save 500 records from within EBSCO's databases. I'm sure that's welcome news. And then you can also download these as well. So again, you can download into choice of formats, for example, PDF, Word, etc., or CSV if you prefer. We can also, again, if I just save that, and if you go to the save folder, this is where those records that I've been saving are now stored. So I've got 13 in total, all these now stored here. So I can review the list and I can explore those. I can also download them from here. I can also do a direct export from here, by the way, into RIS format if I need to, or RefWorks or in NoteWeb. So those are available there. Now, it does prompt you here at this stage, if you saved items and you want to save them beyond the session, you need to create an EBSCO account, a MyEBSCO personal user account, or if you have one, maybe you create it in CINAHL, Medline, APA Psychartist, for example, then you need to sign here. So to create an account, just click the button, and then yourself or user will just add their first name, last name is optional, email address, etc. Then you create the password, noting the criteria, and then you agree to the consent form for the retention of data. And there's our privacy policy, which explains more about that. You would then create the account, and then you would go into sign in and use your credentials, as I'm doing now, to sign in here. Once you've done that, that original menu is changed, and we are now saving multiple records from, also including previously saved records from other sessions, and you can also have searches here as well. So I've got searches that I've saved previously, and I'll show how you can do that. Now, these records, by the way, this is the save folder by default. Now, if we go back to the search itself, again, if you've got any questions, comments on any of this, please do feel free to post them. I can unmute you if necessary. Just select the raised hand icon and I can unmute you. Now, if I just hide the search history behind the scenes, so again, you can save these records, but you can also select and save directly to a project. Now, project is your own custom folder. So originally, the classic interface had custom folders that you created, and it's the same way with projects. So I've created a number of projects here. I can add another one here. If I click new project, I can add this. Media, okay. And then I can give it due date. So if it's an assignment I'm working on, if it's an evidence search that I need to complete by a specified date, I can specify that here. So I can add the 30th of April. There's free text there if I need to add comments or thoughts about this. Maybe there's some other terms I want to search later. And I create the project. So now I get confirmation on screen that those references have been saved to the project. So if I go to projects now under my dashboard on the left, you'll see I've got this project here, Adlets Social Media, and those records are now saved. Okay, so you can bypass the save folder, save directly to the project if you prefer. The disadvantage with the save folder, it means that everything is grouped together in one long list. So again, it may be better to save records into the project immediately. And again, you have options to download, export directly from here. And also you can bulk delete from this menu as well. So you can go into this list. Maybe there's some articles that you don't feel are appropriate or needed. Then you would just go through the list and delete them from there. Now, if we go back a step, so it's projects again, you can go in also and delete a project as well, by the way, and go into here, for example, delete this project. It's not needed anymore. Just click delete, and that will go from the list. So you can sort them by the newest or oldest. I think there's more sort options coming as well. But then if you go back to the, say, the articles, and this time if we look at saving the search, go to the tools menu above the result list, and you see save search, and for this you would need to be signed in as well. You can replace the query string with the actual topic, so adolescents and social media, and I'll say this time, and eating disorders. So the three elements are PEO. Okay. And then you can see the searches there, the subqueries listed, and then save this. Now that will be saved into the save folder. So on the left-hand column under my dashboard, go to saved, go to searches, and then you'll see here, adolescent social media disorders. So I can now move this to this project. And if I go to projects, adolescent social media, go to searches, and you'll see it's now stored there. So basically, the great thing about projects is it means that you can group together your save records plus your search in one folder. So again, it's clearly designated. Obviously, you have your naming convention. You may have APA adolescents and social media. For example, I click on this one, I can edit the project. I may now put APA PsycInfo. So I know it's for that database. Okay. And then save it. So now it's designated that project. So if I go back to projects, you'll see that listed here. So this one could be APA PsycInfo. This one could be Academic Search Complete. This one could be Medline, for example. So again, you would distinguish them. Or you could put APA PsycInfo followed by adolescent social media. So again, you make those changes as you need to. So that's the projects. Okay. So what else can we show? And in terms of the actual search history, if you go back to the search history again, you may want to download the search. So you can do that if you go to search history Again, we resort this. So we now got 13 lines here. So what, including the filters, the past 10 years, plus the NLS age group. So what I can do here is select these sets, click download, and then you'll see the choice of formats, PDF, Word, etc. So if I choose, for example, I'm going to go for RTF this time, click download. And then it begins. I save the folder. Save the search. I'll go through all that. And then if I just open this up so you can see this, I'll just drag this from my desktop. And you can see this is the format that you get currently. So the query string, S1, the set number, the query, the expanded query, the time, date, run. That's going to be localized, by the way. At the moment, it's just standard. It's going to be localized to where you are. The hit count, the search mode, expanders, the interface, and database listed as well. And that gives you all the queries there. The combined queries also are listed. And when you have a combined query, it will also expand the search as well. So I'm just going to look at some here. See this one. So S7 or S8 consists of these terms. Okay. There are some enhancements coming to this as well. So again, you'll see changes to this, but this is the search history downloaded from my desktop, as it were. So you have those detailed there. Okay. So let me see how we're getting on regarding the PowerPoint and where we are with this. So I think what I might do now is, I think I've pretty much shown you what I needed to cover here on this page. There is just a mention here on this page also. So recent activity also tracks what you've been doing. It does record this information, and you can sort by oldest. So you can see the sequence of the search. So it's the same search string displayed here as well, but you have got the option to delete from here, which you don't have currently for the bulk, for the saved, the search history online. And it also includes any viewed records here as well are also captured here. In terms of help menu, there's the online help there. That will take you to the EBSCO's quick start guide. So obviously APA PsycInfo here is on the new interface, and you'll see some examples, for example, of managing multiple results here. And you see various icons also explained in detail. Okay, so again, that's available using wildcards, or also given here as well. Again, a further breakdown. I include that in the PowerPoint, by the way. So I'm going to just stop sharing here. I'll go back to my PowerPoint. So we had the demonstration. This is an example again of a search I created previously. I found more results since I did this before. But you see here the various sets, the population element related to adolescence. So the title abstract combined with the subject searching, the APA Thesaurus search for social media as the intervention and related terms, and then also the outcome, eating disorders. And then below that you have, I used English language originally in the filter. So you can create citations APA style. I showed that online earlier. So again, choose the quotation marks there. That will open up the cite tool there, and you can choose the default style will be there. It could be APA for you, it could be Harvard, or you can choose another one and then copy to the clipboard from there. Okay, so in terms of support and training, obviously there are developments taking place with this interface. So if you're curious as to what's happening next, there's the EBSCO roadmap. So you can go to research platforms and explore the various releases, what's coming soon and when as well, on a month-by-month basis. We also provide the EBSCO Connect site and case portal. So if you log in as an EBSCO Connect user, if you sign up for an account, then you'll be able to create cases. You'll be able to create cases related to technical issues, service issues with the platform. Your colleagues can do this as well, and they'll be grouped together, linked to your account for your institution. So basically, it's not only a portal to provide you with documentation, user guides, tutorials, access to EBSCO Academy, for example, with online learning, but also allows you to report cases that you're experiencing and also track them as well. And there are some helpful resources here, links that I've include the Quick Start Guide, the FAQs, the APA Thesaurus, our psychological index terms as well. So links there, and you can also go to the APA website, apa.org, for more information about APA publishing, about the subject coverage of APA PsycInfo, and so on. Okay, so I'm happy to stop here. If there's any questions now, please feel free to use the right hand icon, otherwise post them in the Teams chat. Otherwise, we can conclude this session. And if you need to contact me directly post-session, do so via my email, rcrooks@ebsco.com.